Fuck it.
Fuck it. Fuck it.
Hey mama, welcome to Fuck It Mothering. My name is Amanda and I am a life coach for moms. I'm an intentional single mom to 4 girls living in sunny Wisconsin. Just kidding, we have like 6 months of winter. My Shih-Tzu Chewbacca is my one true life partner. I laugh too loud, prefer beer over wine, curse like a sailor, and I'm dedicated to teaching other moms the tools to reclaiming their lives. Not in a Kate Chopin The Awakening way. You don't need to give up living and throw yourself into the sea. You can keep your kids and your sanity and also be a whole ass person outside of being that kid's mom. The secret? Learning when to say fuck it. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Fuck It Mothering. I'm your host, Amanda Haro, and I'm so grateful and happy that you're here with me. I love this space so much, and it's meant so much to me to be able to create this sacred space where we can be real people, because moms are always so focused on their kids and their families, their partners if they're partnered, and we don't spend nearly enough time with ourselves and doing things that bring us joy. So in a world that tries to tell us that we're selfish for focusing on ourselves at all, I'm proud of you for being here. I have exciting news to share with all of you. So in addition to my life coaching business, where I work with all of you and give you tools to liberate yourselves off the back burner, I also have started to audition for audiobooks, because it's pretty much a perfect side gig for me to do. It taps into my creativeness. I used to be a theater major before I dropped out of college. And it also is very similar to what I do with my podcast. Just like technically speaking, I already know I have the equipment and I know what to do to make audio sound really good. And so I'd been auditioning for audiobooks, and I got an offer to produce a 4-book series. I'm so excited. It's such a great book. So the first one is called Witches and Walk-ins by Tammy Tyree. And it's definitely a book that like I would just read in my own personal life. I love her writer's style. Her characters are sassy and fun. The paranormal aspect is just so much fun. So it's about this woman who wakes up from a 9-month coma, and she swears that she is not the person that they all are trying to tell her that she is. And the main person in the book, Alexandra, she's a witch, and so she's able to like put her in like a hypnosis state, and figure out that she's actually telling the truth. She's not. It's a walk-in spirit. So it's so much fun. And what was I going to say? What was my next sentence? I don't even know. Do your brains do that? Or is it just me? Where like, you're literally talking about something that excites you, that you like talking about. And then like whatever else you were going to say, it's just gone. It's so fun. Anyways, I will let you guys know when that's released. It'll be on Audible. Definitely it'll probably be like released by the end of October, I think is the timeline. Give or take. She's a little bit flexible on the timeline. Given that it's the very first audiobook that I've ever produced, I don't actually know how long it'll take me, but I'm having so much fun with it already. I can't wait to share that with you guys. And also, I am currently building a community for moms with my Fuck It Friday buddies. And we have put together a survey, just a quick 5-minute survey, just to get a feel of like what you guys would want in a mom community. Have you tried joining a mom group at all? What was your experience? What did you like? What did you not like? What were you expecting it to be when you signed up? So that way we can make it a space that we want to make it the space that like we've all wanted and never found. The space where you can find like-minded women who want to be themselves, like what I do here. I'm always authentically myself. So a space where we can be authentic, a space where we can learn and grow as individuals and support each other too. So I'm going to drop the link to that survey in the show notes. If you guys could take 5 minutes and fill it out, it would really be helpful for us. And as a bonus, we're going to pick 3 winners to gift Starbucks gift card as a way to say thank you. And while you're down there in the show notes, make sure you check out my on-the-go coaching package, Stop Snapping at Your Kids. It is the perfect way, the perfect coaching container for busy moms because a busy mom designed it. I am already having so much fun with the people who are in there already, and they're absolutely loving the structure of it because it's completely customizable. You get an audio lesson emailed to you at the beginning of each week, so you can focus on like a specific area. And then you have access to me in Voxer. So Voxer is a free walkie-talkie app. So you can send a voice memo or you can text if you'd like to. But anytime you find pockets of time in your day, in your schedule, is when you get to go in and ask me questions. You don't have to worry about scheduling something in your already bursting calendar. You can still do something for yourself, focus on yourself, improve yourself, get help for yourself, whatever you want to like call it, all of the above. But you can still do this thing for yourself without having to schedule anything. Because how many times have you put off an appointment for the dentist or for your hair or just the doctor in general for yourself because your brain was immediately overwhelmed trying to think of how you were going to fit it into your schedule? I know. I've done it too. We all fucking do it. And that's why I designed this package the way that I designed it. And it's so affordable. It's ridiculous. I wanted to make it affordable. I wanted it to be a very easy hell yes for you guys. So you stop putting yourself off. And also you can sign up for the Fuck It Mothering newsletter as a way to give the algorithm the finger. Because if you follow me on social media, that doesn't mean that my stuff pops up in your newsfeed, right? Because you don't actually get to choose what's in your newsfeed. The algorithm chooses what's in your newsfeed. So if you like to laugh, if you like to have insights into why you feel the way that you feel, how to take steps to reconnect with yourself, take care of yourself so that you can be a whole ass person outside of being that kid's mom, sign up for the Fuck It Mothering newsletter. I don't know why I always stumble over my own fucking name. I think it's just today, guys. I'm just tired. But sign up for the newsletter. I do not spam you. This is not the type of newsletter where when I go into like a launch period, you get 10 emails a week. Fuck that so hard. I will never do that. I don't care how successful I become. I don't care how many business like people tell me to do that. I'm never fucking doing that because I hate that. I hate that. I hate when people do that to me. And I unsubscribe from them so fast when they do. That's not what this newsletter is at all. This newsletter is your way of reclaiming the content that you consume. Give the algorithm the finger. It does not have your best interest at heart. And finally, if you guys have not already seen The Substance, it's a new movie out with Demi Moore, and I forgot the other actress's name because I'm horrible with names, with like actor names. I'm absolutely atrocious. Ask anybody who knows me personally. I'm horrible. It's so good. It is gory. So if you don't like gore, then this isn't for you. It was almost borderline not for me. I didn't realize it was in that horror sci-fi category when I decided to see it because I'm spontaneous like that. I'll just see what's playing and be like, oh, sure, let's go see that. But it was really good. And the message is really good. It's written and directed by a female. Support female artists. Support female artists. Support female everything. Because that is how we change the algorithm of the universe of patriarchy. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this conversation I had with Courtney because she was a gem. I really loved our conversation because she's just really real. She didn't like play around with. She just admitted like, hey, being a stay-at-home mom was fucking boring. I didn't like it. And that's fine. I love that she said that because it's not for everybody, right? It is boring. It's boring staying at home all day long with tiny children who are just trying to like actively destroy everything every moment that they're awake. It's a lot of work and it's not really like mentally stimulating. And it's totally okay if that is not for you. And it is also totally okay if you are single, like the both of us are, and you're really enjoying being single, like the both of us are. And I love being able to have conversations like this. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you think in the review section of Apple Podcasts or the comment section of Spotify. Those things help this little show so much. It helps us grow. It helps me get in ranked higher so that way more women can find me. And when you do, you'll get entered into my monthly book and Starbucks gift card raffle. I love giving away Starbucks gift cards because mama needs her coffee. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Welcome everyone to another episode of Fuck It Mothering. I'm your host, Amanda Haro, and I have another awesome guest for you, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. My name's Courtney Hartt, and I am the founder of The Scariest Hood, a website dedicated to making parenthood a little less scary. So excited to be here today.
I love the name of your website. So how did you come to that name?
You know what? I had decided I was going to start my website. I was going to take what I do on a daily basis and move it into the internet world. And so I was trying to figure out, I was like, I want something that is unique, but it's not overwhelming. Because a lot of the parenting stuff out there is very serious, very hardcore. And I'm like, yes, parenting is serious. Yes, parenting is a big deal. But I don't know. The only way I get through parenthood myself is to laugh through some of the hard times. And
Absolutely.
So, I was doing Google searches and I kept coming up with this Parenthood, the scariest hood you'll ever go through. And I was like, okay, that I can get behind. I like that. And so, just kind of played with that and here we are.
Yeah, I love that because like you said, so many of us just take ourselves and life way too seriously. And it's like, let's have some fun too. Like, let's just laugh because it makes it a whole lot more bearable when you can just laugh.
That's exactly it.
Yes. So how many kids do you have?
I have 3 boys. I would like to say they're little boys, but my short son is 6'2", so I'm always looking up at them if I have to yell at them. They're older now. My oldest is 19. I have a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. So, yeah. So
you're right at that finish line. Can you see it in the distance, or does it still feel kind of far away because the youngest is 15?
No, you know what? It feels really close because every time my oldest hits a milestone, it feels like instantly my youngest is there. Like it's like the gap is really short. After the first one does something, then the next one and the next one. And it's like, okay, no, we're almost there. I can see the finish line for sure.
Yeah, I have that same experience. I have 4 girls, but they're all like very close in age. They're all like 2 years apart. And my 7-year-old, which is my youngest, like she is so different and so much more mature. In some ways, I wish she wasn't, but it is what it is when you're the youngest of that many. But she's such a different 7-year-old than my oldest was at 7. My oldest at 7 was like definitely, I want to say more innocent. I don't know. She was just more of a kid. And, like you're saying, when they have older siblings, the younger ones just kind of quantum leap almost into those other milestones so quickly. Like even talking, she spoke so clearly and had so many more words, like at a way younger age than her sisters. And every time she was like meeting, a new adult and she would just start talking as a 2-year-old, just like, they were like, whoa, how old are you? I'm like, yeah, she's 2. I swear she is.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Too funny.
Yeah. So what led you to want to focus on parenthood? You said it's like, it mirrors kind of like what you do in like your day job, but like what exactly was that journey for you?
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of one of those, I set a goal, I had a plan, and then life came up and it kind of led me down here. So I had my kids really young and I went back to school in my early 30s. And I had decided I was going to become a speech language pathologist. And so I did the research. I love research. Like, I don't know, it's like a hobby of mine. Most people find it weird, but I actually love research. So I spent time researching exactly what I would need to get into the speech pathology program, which schools I could get to, the easiest course to get, like the easiest path to get there, considering I had 3 kids at home and I live in a rural area. And so I kind of set the course, went back to school. The bachelor's degree that I was taking was just a bachelor's degree because I needed one to get into the master's program. However, it was in human services and I fell in love with it. And so I was like, okay, I don't need to go down this speech pathology path any longer because this is now where my heart is. And so when I did my schooling, it was kind of a mix of education, psychology, and early childhood development. And so I found that there was so much more out there than I even realized as far as career path. And so I was working in education and then I moved into disability. And then this job came up in my town working with parents and families. And I was like, okay, well, I'll apply. I don't really have the exact background, but I'll apply to it. And I got the job and like instantly fell in love. I was like, I can't believe I did anything else other than this any other time because this is amazing. And yeah, just to see those, like, I've got all of this education. I've got all of this training. I've got all these things that to me now, I mean, not when my boys were little, unfortunately, but now it just seems like, second nature. These are just things I know, but they're not things that we're taught regularly, right? Like there's no courses in high school about early childhood development. There's no courses in high school about how to, control yourself when you just want to lose your shit because your kids are driving you crazy.
Yeah.
But you know what? There is courses and stuff out there. And so I'm lucky enough to be able to have those that I get to take them. I get paid to take these kind of courses. So I'm like, I need to share this with as many people as possible because there are things that make parenting easier.
Yeah, 100%. And you're right. Like, it's just not taught. I would have rather had any of those classes that you mentioned in high school as opposed to geometry, which I barely passed with a D and I'd never use in my real life.
That's exactly it. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So how old were your boys when you went back to school?
My oldest son, I do everything by what year they were in school. So he was in grade 5. So what does that make you, like 10, 11? He was around
11. Yeah. I have a just graduated 5th grader.
Perfect. Yeah. So he was in grade 5. So then 11, 9, and 7. And it was kind of a nice thing because they were old enough that they could do some things on their own. Mm-hmm. And so I would give them little responsibilities. Like my oldest son, he learned how to make supper once a week because I had evening classes and I was like, well, someone's got to make supper if we're going to eat. Yeah. We had gourmet mac and cheese or, fancy things, but it was his way of contributing and it helped to make it so that we were able to, get through that time where it was busy because I was still working full time and going to school and had the kids. So it was busy, but you know what? It was great because we were able to make that work.
Yeah. So were you you said night classes, so you were going physically to school or was it online?
Actually, it was online, thankfully.
Okay.
Yeah, I live really rural. So the closest town is like a 20-minute drive away and the closest city is a 2-hour drive away. So. Okay.
So yeah. It needed to be online.
Exactly.
Yes. I'm just interested about that part of that, like piece of your story, because I haven't had any guests on, who've like had that experience or been able to share that story. And so I'd love to just like dive more into that if you're okay with it. Sure. So were you partnered at the time or were you doing this as a single mom?
At the time I was married. Yeah. No longer anymore. But yeah, I was married at the time. However, my husband was working away. So it was like he was gone for a week, home for a week. So I almost like I was half partnered.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's a hard schedule. So, there were weeks, half the month you're on your own with the three boys managing a full-time job and school.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, of course, there was never a time where it was like, no, you guys can't do your regular extracurriculars because mom's busy. No, we make it work. Right. And so there was times where it was like, my oldest is in his basketball practice and I've got the computer and I'm just sitting on the side doing my coursework while trying to make sure the other two aren't running away from me because
right.
So he's like all the chaos.
Yes. I went back to school for a very brief period of time. This was in 2019, 2020. So my youngest was 2 and 3. It was exactly that. Like we do dance and I'd take my laptop to the studio and be working on stuff. Mostly I was cramming most of it into like the hours of the morning before they woke up. So I would wake up at 3 and do coursework from 3 to 7 and then wake them up at 7 and do my mom gig. My dad, he's since passed, but he lived here because I'm from California, but I live in Wisconsin. So all my family's in California, but my dad had moved out here. So he would be able to come over every once in a while and give me like an afternoon at the library, which was great. But for the most part, it's that hustle of just like cramming it into the wee hours of the morning, the wee hours of night. If you're a night owl, bringing your laptop to the extracurricular activities and just like holding on by a hope and a prayer.
Oh, that's exactly it. I adopted a mantra during that school time that actually has like done me well in everything, but it was done is better than perfect.
Yes.
Because I wanted to get things, like, okay, I'm doing this and I really need to do good. And especially when my eye was on that, I needed to get into this master's program that was a highly competitive program. I was like, well, if I don't get the best marks, then why am I even doing this? Because I won't get where I need to go. Right.
Right.
And sometimes it would get that you'd get spiraling where, okay, well, this isn't good enough. I need to do it more. And it's like, no, done is better than perfect, because that perfect paper that isn't submitted is going to get a way worse grade than the done paper that I did submit.
Exactly. And I wish I had that tool when I was in school. I was not there. I was definitely like hustling for my worth at that time. This was like pre-thought work, Amanda. So I was running myself into the ground very quickly. I was holding a 4.0 in all of my, it was so stupid. I was running myself into the ground. And then I ended up not finishing anyways, right? That ended up not being the path for me. So it's extra just like, all that work just to quit anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you know what I found too was that after I took that pressure off of myself, my marks actually increased.
I bet they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, I ended up, I didn't have a 4.0, but I did graduate with great distinction, which is still, quite at the top there. And my marks were better whenever I would just be like, nope, done is better than perfect. And I would just sit down, finish it and then not look over it 5,000 times after it was done. It was like, no, read it over once to make sure there's no really big errors. And that's it.
Yes.
Move on.
Yeah. Cause you're calm and you can actually create better. You can access all the parts of your brain. If you're freaking out, your brain isn't operating at the best function of itself.
Oh, exactly.
So how many years did it take you to finish your degree?
So I did it in 4 years, and
good for you.
It was, so I actually as much as I say, I done is better than perfect and all this stuff. I still I think there was 6 extra courses that I took on top of the requirements, because I needed those extra ones to get into that master's program that I decided not to go into. Right? So I had that same thing. And one of my worst courses, I loved it. It was all about neuropsychology. So interesting. However, my brain is not a very sciencey brain. So remembering the difference between an SSRI and an SNRI and this and that, I couldn't do it. And so it brought my GPA down a lot. And the only reason I took it was to get into that program that I decided never to apply for.
Oh, isn't that ironic?
Right.
My grandma on my mom's side, she was a single mom of 8 kids. And I don't know how she did that. I don't know, because I can't, like, I've got half of what she had and I'm like pulling my hair out most days. But she at one point put herself back through school. And I mean, this was in the 70s. So it's like you have to go to school. So she's working full time as a single mom of 8, which is ridiculous, and putting herself through nursing school at night. It took her 6 years to get her associate's degree in nursing because, just a couple classes at a time, couple here, couple there, as you can, but she did it. And I'm still like so stinking proud of her for sticking with it, because, oh my God, I can't imagine what that was like.
Right. That's amazing. It's so much easier to access school now because you can do it online. You can do it blended. You can do so many options where, I can't even imagine having to go to school. And I have 3 kids. I can't imagine raising 8 kids. Like, oh,
right. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And my mom was the 8th one. So, like, thanks, Granny, for, I know you cried a lot when that pregnancy test came back positive, but I'm grateful. Oh, man. Oh, so when you graduated, so what kind of work do you do? Like is it kind of like social working?
Yeah. Okay. So it is very similar to social work, except that my degree isn't in social work. So I don't claim that I'm a social worker, right? But really what I do on a regular basis is I have people either come to my office or I go to their home, depending on what they're comfortable with. And I'm just helping them work on goals to make their family life more cohesive. So whatever that means for them, sometimes it's as simple as, not that any of it's simple. I don't want to say like it's easy, but some of them are less complicated, but it's just like, what, I need to figure out a routine so that my kids are getting to school on time instead of being late all of the time. Or sometimes it's, it can be, what, I'm new to town and I don't know where to go for anything. So it's just introducing people to what's in the community. It can be, what, I have a really defiant teen who's, going towards a path of drugs or alcohol or things that I want to steer them clear from. What can we do? And anything in between. So it's really, really just, if you're a parent, I can help you. It's very open-ended, which I love.
Yeah. So I'm just so intrigued by this because it sounds like kind of like, is it like a government service or is it like more on the therapy side of things?
It's very much a combination of the two. Yeah. So basically it started out years ago. It was a government, kind of a pilot project of families who were on like teetering on the edge of needing to have like child welfare involved. And they, so they called it the diversion program. So it was like, let's not have children removed. Let's get those supports in there so that these families can figure out what's going on and do it on their own. Yeah. But then since then, that was years before I started. Since then, it's kind of just evolved to let's open this program to everyone so that it's like a prevention program. Like, what, it doesn't matter how small the issue is. Let's deal with it now before it becomes a bigger issue.
That's so beautiful. I've never heard of that before at all. What state do you live in?
See, that's the thing. I'm from Canada, so I'm not sure if that's like a Canadian thing.
That's why it's so good. Yeah. It's not American. That makes so much sense. That makes the most sense. It's Canadian. God damn it. My country is a fucking mess. That is a wonderful program because it's like, if you can get help before the shit hits the fan, like you were saying, like then the family can stay together. We don't have to come in and take children away and then put them in foster care. And I'm pretty sure we're better about not doing this, about not like splitting siblings up. But back in the day, like my mom, when she was growing up, they would split the kids up. And, it was just based on like who can take however many kids. And it's, oh God, I love that. That's a really beautiful program that you guys have.
Yeah, I really love it. And you know what? Because it is like it's government funded through like the province and the town and the municipality all provide funding for it. And so it's completely free, right? So
Of course
anyone
it is.
can access it. Literally anyone can access it.
Of course it is. Yeah, our country's a mess. I'm just going to say it. I'm not a political person at all. I think this might be the first time I've mentioned anything political, but America is a fucking mess. We need to get our shit together because it doesn't need to be so convoluted and so hard to just help people. It doesn't need to be a whole thing that we like fight over and debate over and have our heads up our asses over for too long, way too many years. That's an awesome program. Oh man. Switching gears. You said you had your kids very young. I did too. So I'm interested. I had my first when I was 22.
Oh, okay. So I had my first at 19.
Okay.
And then my last, his birthday is 5 days before mine. So I like to say I was 23, but I mean, really I was 24, but yeah. So yeah, very young.
Yeah. So how was your transition into motherhood then? Being so young, were you the type of person where like you knew that you wanted to have kids, or was this just something that like, oops, and then here we are?
Yeah, more the second one. Yeah, no, you know what? I hadn't decided if I wanted kids or not. There was parts of me, like I've always loved kids. However, there's a part of me that's always been like, you know, the direction society's going, I don't know if I want to bring kids into this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so when I was pregnant, I was like, okay, I guess I am.
Right.
Because, yeah, you know what? It just like for me, as soon as I was pregnant, I was like, okay, I guess this is my life now. And I dove head first. Like I went so deep into like, I am a mom, to the point where I actually had to dig myself out and be like, no, I'm a mom and I am Courtney, right? Like there was no and, it was just, I'm a mom. That was me. That was everything. And I didn't like, I can remember going, you know, to a party or dinner or whatever it was. And people would be like, oh, you know, how are you doing? And all I could talk about was the kids. If the topic turned to anything else, I'd pretty much just freeze up. I'm like, yeah, I think I had a hobby at one time. Right. I think I liked doing things. I don't remember what they were, but
this I vaguely familiar, but I think it was another life. I'm not sure if it was mine.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, no, I totally relate to that. That was me as well. And I think that a lot of women fall into that regardless of how old they are when they have kids. But I think for me, because I was so young, I felt like I needed to prove myself. And so I tried, you know, that A student that's always been a part of my person came out, and it was just like, I'm going to be the best at this. And I've always been a very good mom, but yeah, I lost myself. And then I was, struggling with depression and anxiety and just that lack of connection with yourself. It's really not good to live there for very long. And that's why I started my company, because once I got myself fully out of the pool, and I'm such a better mom now that I'm selfish and I prioritize myself and I have a whole fucking identity outside of my kids. It's made me such a more present and patient mom than I was when they were my everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree. Another thing I know that I struggled with was I figured out really early on that I didn't love being a stay-at-home mom.
Wonderful. I love that.
Right? My parent, like my mom was a stay-at-home mom. The boys' dad, his mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so it was almost like the expectation was you should be a stay-at-home mom. And I tried really hard with each pregnancy. I was like, no, this time I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the whole, and again, because I'm from Canada, year-long mat leave. I'm going to take it all. I'm going to enjoy every moment of it. And by 6 months in, I was like, I love my kid. I don't want to spend time away from him. However, I hate being a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
And I felt so much guilt about it because I was supposed to love this. I was supposed to, I put my all into my kids all the time. And yet there was this resentment because I just wanted to do other things as well. So I had this this real struggle of like, my children are my whole identity. And I don't want that to be, but I don't know, like it was
Yes.
quite like a mind boggle.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many women, I mean, we all have just huge amounts of mom guilt over a bunch of different things. But that one is pretty big when you realize like, oh, actually, I don't want to stay at home with my kids. I thought I did. I thought this was going to be the way. I feel like this is what I should do. I'm supposed to do, but I don't want to. And instead of just like accepting it as like, oh, that's just not for me, we shit on ourselves and we're just like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm defective in some way because my mom did it. His mom did it. The fuck's wrong with me?
That's exactly it. It's like, well, why? Why can't I do it? Why? I should be grateful. I've got these amazing kids. And then, you have people who maybe struggle to get pregnant or all these things. And you're like, there's no way I should be feeling like I shouldn't spend all my time with my kids. There's no way. This is, and you just guilt yourself so much.
Yeah. So how did you get out of that guilt?
I went on a long journey. It's always long journeys with me. It's never like a quick thing. It's never easy. You know what? That one was more just like baby steps. And then one day like being like, hey, actually, this is okay. Because I remember the first few jobs that I'd have because, I did have my boys so quickly apart or quickly together, not apart, but I would go find a job and then I would switch the guilt to be like, every time I was at work, I'd feel guilty that I wasn't with my kid. So I had this. And so I went through a couple jobs between kids. And then I think the biggest thing was when we'd moved out to where I'm living now. So I was working. However, when we moved out here, I couldn't keep my old job while we were moving. And my youngest was in kindergarten. And so I didn't have childcare here. So I couldn't just go out and find a job right away. Because here our kindergarten was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It wasn't every day of the week. And so I spent time at home and I was so antsy that I was literally dusting baseboards once a week. That is not me. I am not that kind of mom, but I was like, I'm not the kid was in school for 3 days a week. I don't know. My house was spotless. It's the only time in my entire life I can claim that my house was spotless because I just didn't know what else to do with myself. But it was during that time where it was like, okay, I'm obviously, I got to do something with this energy because I'm not feeling satisfied dusting my baseboards once a week. This is not the life for me. And so it was like, okay, I can do this. And it was like this mind shift of the time I spend with my boys. It's not quantity, it's quality, right?
Yes.
Like I can be home all day with the kids and they're just driving me crazy. And I'm thinking about all the other things I'd rather be doing. Or I can spend an hour with my kids, enjoying their presence, them enjoying my presence. And that time is so much more beneficial. And it's worth more than 3 days of that at home, just being here because I'm here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I love that it was baby steps for you because I feel like that's a lot more accessible to a lot of people. Most people aren't able to make huge shifts, instantly or dramatic changes I truly believe that most big changes, it's a slog. It's little baby step at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. You hear about those stories of like these big overnight shifts. And I'm like, for me, if it's a big overnight shift, I changed for a day and then it went back to how it was before.
Right. You couldn't hold it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. This is like a semi unrelated example, but it still fits. I'm a part of a wealth consciousness community. And she was talking about how, we all think that we want like the big lump sum, like this huge shift in our business or to win the lottery or something. And she's like, I've had those in my business. I've had those big quantum leaps and it's fun, but it's always very hard for me to hold it because it changes so dramatically, so quickly. And so it's actually, it's so much more sustainable if the change happens little incremental bit at a time. It's frustrating for your present self because you want like things to just be like, bam, it's easy, it's done. But actually, it's very hard to hold it once you're there.
Yes. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of like the, you know, the little micro habits, the little micro
Yes.
changes. I always encourage my families because obviously for the most part, when people come to me, I'm in crisis of some kind, right? We don't usually seek help when things are little. I mean, there are the exceptions, but for the most part, it's like something big has happened. I'm in crisis. Okay, I want this to be fixed. I'm like, okay, that's great, but let's like break this down.
Yes.
What's one thing you can do today that will actually make a difference? What's one tiny thing we can change?
Yes.
And then once that's a habit, then we'll look at something new. And that's how I work with all of my families. It's just like, okay, I know this is the big goal up here, but we're going to take 27 steps to get there. What's the first step? Then what's the next step? We're not even going to look at what all the steps are. We're just going to take it one step at a time. And I think that's kind of how my journey was, how my, you know, mom guilt, and I like to kind of call it my mommy martyrhood, right? Like I grew out of it.
Yep. Exactly. What has been the hardest or like the most challenging age for you with your kids?
You know, interestingly, it's been different with each of them. Like,
I've had that exact same experience, so I'm not surprised by that.
So my oldest was, it was probably more me than him, but like the baby stage was hardest with him. Maybe because it was my first, but he was that baby that was happy as long as I was holding him.
Right.
So as soon as I put him down, he would scream.
Yeah.
And as soon as, you know, like even if he was completely asleep in my arms, the moment I put him down, he was yelling again. This is really bad, but I'll tell you guys anyway. So I don't know if the immunization schedule is like the same for you guys as for us, but there was like, you know, they get immunizations every couple months when they're for that first year of life.
Yeah.
And sorry. And every time he would get his needles, he would sleep for like 3 hours after. And that was like, okay, I have 3 hours that I can do whatever I want. And it doesn't have to be with a baby in my arm. I would get so excited about it. I was like, that's terrible. And I really shouldn't brag about that, but it's true.
It's not terrible though, because it's exhausting when you have a baby that's like that, where they're a totally fine, chill baby, but they want to be on you all the time. And it's like, kid, you're not inside me anymore. You are getting bigger every single day. No.
That's exactly it. And then so with my middle son, I would say it was more his kind of like preschool years. So my middle son actually he's on the autism spectrum. And so he was just so busy. So, and of course, because he's the middle, I remember times like, you know, my oldest is like 6. My youngest is 2. And so, you know, at 6, you're not quite independent enough to just be like, okay, I don't have to worry about you. Right. And I'm carrying this car seat or I'm holding on to the 2-year-old, and he'd be like taken off. He would just book it. He didn't have that like, oh, I need to stay with my mom when I'm in public or, oh, I should, you know, be aware of my surroundings in any way. Like, he was just like a free soul all the time, which was lovely and so hard.
Yeah. It's really hard keeping toddlers alive. Like, it's just exhausting.
Exactly. And he was very late speaking. And so he was quiet, but he was very fast walking. Like, he could run before he was a year old, like full out run. So
gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, so you're chasing after this kid, but he wouldn't make a lot of noise. He'd be very quiet. And so if you turned around for a second, you'd be like,
he was gone.
He's gone. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. My youngest, though, and I think it's because of what we talked about earlier, how the youngest kind of matures faster than they sometimes should. So he is now 15, and teenage stuff, I mean, I'm still, compared to a lot of people out there, the teenage stuff I'm dealing with, I'm happy to be dealing with it. It isn't like extreme or over the top, but he does like to push those buttons, test a little bit more, figure, you know, but it's because I think he's always been the youngest in the group. And so he's doing those things the older kids are doing. He's always trying to, so that part is hard now, navigating that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, at the same time, it's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just, so it's a little bit that teenager years are hard. And I think we're almost out of the tough part, because it's like that grade 7 and 8 were really challenging. 9th grade wasn't so much. And now he's going into 10th, and fingers crossed that we're continuing out of that stage. So.
Right. Yeah. I know. Isn't it so interesting how they're all so different? Because I know for me, I was like, oh, another girl. I know how to do this. Nope. That second one was totally different. And then the third one, still totally different. Fourth one, I was like, I had learned my lesson by the time the fourth one was here. I'm like, yep, I know, you're a totally different person. You're unique and special, blah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. I was always like, I don't know how, but I have 3 opposite children.
Yeah.
I thought there was only like 2 in opposites, but you can have as many as you want.
Yes. Yeah. And, they have their similarities and stuff, but they are all so totally different. And it just, it's just a fresh slate every time. And I'm like, okay, I thought I knew something about motherhood, but I don't, because you're totally different. You need me in different ways. Every age is different. Every milestone is different. It's all just different. I'm just here for the ride. I'm holding on. Just trying to survive this.
That is exactly it. Yeah, it's none of it's the same. It's never the same.
No. And that was a shock. That was like a shock for me, going, like, having my second one and being like, oh my gosh, you're so different. But even like the pregnancy was so different. All of my pregnancies were very different too. So it was kind of like preparing me for, but I, thought maybe it was just my body, but no, it's just a different soul inside of me.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yes.
For me, even like the labor and delivery was different for all of them. Like nothing was the same.
Yeah. Yeah. It was all totally, totally different and crazy. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. I love them all. I wouldn't want them to be any different than who they are, but it can be a lot some days.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when honestly,
I was going to say, and honestly, anyone who says different, they're probably lying.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If you're open to talking about it, I'd be curious to hear about how your co-parenting relationship looks like with your boy's dad, because that's a whole different ball of wax for everyone. Some people are able, I feel like our generation is getting much better at co-parenting peacefully, but that's not always the case for everybody.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? Internally, I do not co-parent peacefully. Externally, I do.
Okay. Explain, please.
So, I mean, I guess so when we were together, I was always that main caregiver. And so to let go of that when the boys are with their dad is really hard for me.
I completely understand that. That was me too.
Right. Yeah. So I really want to put my 2 cents in where it doesn't belong, but I keep that internal. So that's what I mean by internally. Like if I just did what I wanted to do, it would probably not be peaceful, because he would go tell me where to go and how to get there. But, I've done enough of this training. I've done enough of the research to know that I need to take myself out of the equation. It's what's best for the boys, right? So they need to have that relationship with their dad. And because of work schedules, I do have the boys the majority of the time. So when they're with their dad, it's not like, if the schedule isn't the way I would like it, or if things don't get done, it's not like it's life altering in any way. So internally, would I like them to do the exact same thing, have the same schedule and have the same bonding moments and the same everything? Absolutely. But externally, you know what? We get along well. There's never yelling or fighting. I mean, honestly, we get along a lot better in separate houses than we did together. So it's been a really positive experience for my family. I mean, obviously, there's hard times, and there was hard times, and there will continue to be. But overall, it's been more positive when we figured out that, maybe you don't meet your soulmate when you're 18.
Yeah.
Maybe you can still be friends, or at least, people who can get along. And you don't have to try and make a relationship work that really was not destined to work, right?
Yeah.
So
yes, exactly. But I love that you spoke on how hard it is to let go because you've for me, it was just like, I have poured my everything into these girls. Like, I fucking died for these girls, and then have been like pulling myself back up out of the ashes for these girls. The fuck that you're going to mess it all up now.
Exactly.
It is very hard to let that go when they are your whole life. There was a point where they were my whole life, and I've worked so hard to become the best mom for them and set up routines that are the best for them. And then it just gets completely thrown out the window. But I learned okay, I have to take a step back so that their dad can figure his shit out. He's not similar to how I figured out all of this stuff. It was trial and error. That's how we all learn is trial and error. And his way is going to look very different than my way, but the children are not being detrimentally harmed or abused. So I have to let it go.
Exactly. It's there's no abuse, there's no neglect. So beyond that, I just have to take my pride, take a step back, and let it happen.
Yeah.
And I love that where you said he has to figure things out, because I have that where I still catch myself sometimes sending their dad more information probably than he could find out when these things are happening.
Yes.
But I send it to him. I give it to him. Right. And I'm nobody's doing this for me.
Exactly. And you learned how to keep up all this stuff through trial and error.
Exactly.
I actually caught myself from doing that this morning because one of my daughters has an appointment that I take her to every week. And we're in summer, so everything is still a little bit chaotic, and we're still getting used to the summer schedule. So the last time that the girls were with their dad, and it was Wednesday and I was going to pick her up, she wasn't ready because she forgot that it was Wednesday and he didn't remind her that it was Wednesday. So I almost sent him a text message this morning being don't forget to remind her that it's Wednesday. I will be there to pick her up at 1:45. And I was no, let it go, because the way that they're going to learn is through enough experiences of me arriving to pick her up and her not being ready.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly it. And it actually, this last year is the first year that my boys had practices for different sports that were overlapping in different communities. And so I had to let their dad was in charge of the one kiddo and I was in charge of the other. And it took everything in me not to send him a reminder text every single time. Just to let him know, please just have peace of mind. But the thing is, there was no reason for that. He never once was late or missed picking up kiddo from the appointment or from the activity. But yet still, in the back of my mind, I was I'm the one who does this stuff. I need to make sure. And it's
yes.
Nope, I don't have to do it. It's so hard.
It is. And to all those listening, if you are partnered still with your child's father, this still applies to you. Stop feeding them all the information. Let them forget the lunch. Let them forget the practice. Let your kid suffer a little bit so that you aren't constantly the manager of everybody, because that's a main reason why you're burning yourself out.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The invisible load is real. And, but we're also doing it to ourselves. So once you become aware that it exists and the ways that you've contributed to it, all falling on you, fucking stop. Just fucking stop doing all the things for everybody all the time.
That's exactly it. They will survive. They will figure it out. And it's so much easier on you.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And then you don't have resentment towards your partner or their dad. If you're not partnered with them anymore, it's fine. It's still your kid's dad. Like, you don't need to hold on to resentment and bitterness towards them. Especially when like you're a part of the problem of why they don't, like, they're not on top of everything as much as you are, because you're not allowing them to fail and then learn and figure it out.
Yeah. And they've never needed to.
Right.
They've never needed to figure it out because you've just done it for them, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But it's hard. It's hard, like, actually being in that position and not sending that reminder text. I'm probably going to go there later this afternoon and she will not be ready. We're probably going to be late to her appointment. That's hard. It's hard for me to let go of.
It's so hard. Yeah.
How is it having an adult child?
So far it's been good.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because he is 19 and that's how old I was when I had him. So we've, in some ways literally grown up together.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
So we have a great relationship. He lives with his girlfriend now and they come over every Sunday for dinner, which is like such a
That's
huge,
so cute.
I didn't actually think they were going to do that. I mean, okay, to be fair, part of it is because the apartment they live in doesn't have a washer or dryer. And so they come and do laundry, but I will take it.
Yes.
I will 100% take it. So it's like, it's just this sweet, like, makes me think of, way back in the day, these families that would have their, traditional Sunday dinner and all these things. And I'm not very traditional, but I love the idea of those family dinners. And so, it makes my heart happy every single time they come. And I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Does it make you like nostalgic for when he was still a child, or were you able to like enjoy each season of motherhood and like you're just like in this season with him now?
Yeah, you know what? There are moments every once in a while where I get that kind of nostalgia, but I really it's just like, wow, look where you've come. Look how far you've come. Let's see what's happening next. Like, I'm so excited for the future and to see what it is that they're doing. And I'm so excited for what's going to be next for you and to just enjoy who they've become. Right. So I love that.
Yes. Yeah. I think so many moms get anxious thinking about their kids being adults. They'll be like, I only have 8 more Christmases with you. I only have 4 more Christmases. I'm like, the fuck? Do you think that they're going to like go away? They're going to go to like fucking Prague for every Christmas? Like, you're never going to see them again. Like, they're still going to be around. It's going to be okay. Your relationship is just going to shift and change and it'll be different, but that's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's exactly. And that's where that, making sure that your kids aren't your whole life.
Yes.
That's where that is so important, because it's like, okay, no, I have time to do the things I want. And I have time to do these things that I didn't have time to do when they were little. Mm-hmm. Like, so I can enjoy that, I get to do other things now. I'm going to pause because my dog is just, I think I need to let her out. Sorry. Okay. She's just distracted me completely. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. No worries.
All right, apparently I'm not a good multitasker. I could not listen to her whine any longer.
No, I'm the same. My dog is always in the room with me and he's like an incessant licker. So sometimes he'll just be over here in the corner licking himself for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes straight. And it drives me crazy. Like, there's a part of my brain that's just like, oh my God, stop it, stop it, stop it. While I'm still trying to be present with, like, if I'm with a client or like doing a podcast or something. And it's, I understand. But anyways, yes, it's so important not to let your kids be your everything. And I think I know that's like the main reason why there's such a thing as empty nester syndrome, because your kids were your entire life. You wrapped up your identity in them and then they walked out the door with it. And now you don't know what the fuck to do with yourself.
Exactly. They literally took your identity with them.
Yes. Yes, yeah. Exactly. And, it's a really unfair burden to put on your kids. They didn't ask to be your everything. They didn't ask to be your only source of happiness. So please, please, please be selfish now. While your kids are still with you, be selfish now, find yourself now, find your passion and your hobbies now. So that way it's not such a shock to the system when it's time for them to leave the nest and go figure their own lives out. And they're going to be back. Good grief. How many young 20-year-olds still live in mom's basement because rent is so expensive?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And, I like to think of it too, like not only are you doing yourself a favor, but doesn't that give your kids something more to look forward to being an adult?
Yes.
Look how much fun it is. Mom goes and has fun. Mom spends all day taking care of us and cleaning the house and cooking and working. And why would I want to be an adult ever?
I know. She's just really angry all the time. She's yelling all the time. She looks kind of miserable, actually. I don't think I want to do that.
Like, I'm never having kids.
Yes, exactly. Oh man. I'm curious to hear your take on this, because personally, I have really been enjoying my single era. Like I haven't been because I got married when I was 21, but I had met him when I was 19. So I was with him for like 11 years of my life. And then when we separated, I did jump into a relationship pretty much immediately. And that was a 3-year relationship. So when that was over, it was really heartbreaking for me and it was really hard. But once I got over like that, like horribleness of it, I was like, wait, this is actually a gift, because I've never been by myself. I've never been an adult by myself. Like now I get to figure out who I am, what I like to do. And so I'm so enjoying my single era right now.
Yes. Actually, very similar. Like I love it feels free,
yes.
Right? Like I don't have to run any purchases past anybody. I don't have to, if I want to go out and do something, I just do it.
Yes.
Right? Like there's no like having these conversations about, hey, what do you think? Or is it okay? Or, none of that. I just do what I want. Like that makes it sound like I'm going out and, who knows what. But no, like seriously, you can just decide what you want to do and then do it. And there's nobody to account, like no one you have to go back to. So again, because, like I was 19.
Yeah.
And so you literally go from having to report to your parents.
Yes.
To just kind of replacing your parent with your partner.
Yes, exactly. It was horrible. And I love being single right now. It's so great. And just like thinking about having another person in my house, I might be one of those people who like, what is it called? Living apart together. Lats. I might be one of those people. Just be like, I don't want to walk into my kitchen and have like random cabinets open again. I don't want you to criticize how I squeeze the toothpaste. Like, I don't want to go back to that at all.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Or I remember arguments over certain pieces of artwork.
Yeah.
Whether they were appropriate on this wall or they should be over here. No, I want to decorate the house how I want to. And I don't really care about anybody else's opinion.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's so freeing being just single. And I was interviewing someone else. She's a divorce coach, but a piece of that is helping people date after divorce. And she read somewhere from a dating expert that like after COVID of people being by themselves and learning to be okay by themselves, there's a whole like sector of the population that's just fine being single. Like they're just not dating really because they're just like, no, I figured out how to do this by myself. And it's actually the shit. I think I'm going to just stay like this.
Yeah. I mean, even if you go out somewhere, you leave whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, are you ready to go? I kind of want to go. And you don't have to feel bad if they're not ready. You're just like,
I'm just going to go.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
See ya.
I'm just going to leave now, or going to bed when I feel like going to bed and not being called a grandma because I want to go to bed at 9. Fuck you. I'm tired.
Exactly. It's been a long day.
It's been a very long day. Oh, I love that so much. Well, please let everyone know where they can get in touch with you if they'd like to connect.
Awesome. So everything is on my website. So thescariesthood.com. I am in the process of getting on socials, but I'm not quite there yet. So once I'm there,
take your time. Social media is a bitch.
a thing, right? Yeah. That's kind of, I'm like, do I want to get there? Do I not? But you know what? There'll be links on my website if I decide to go that way.
Right.
So website is the easiest way to get there. I have one course on there right now, which is going from reactive to proactive parenting. It actually touches on a lot of the stuff we've talked about today. And I've got more courses coming in the near future. So, and lots of blog posts. So check it out.
Beautiful. Love it so much. I like to end every guest episode with a round of lightning questions. So are you ready?
Yeah, I am ready.
Okay. What did you want to be when you grew up?
An author.
An author.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So do you kind of fulfill that itch with your coursework now because of the writing? Oh, on the blog.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So a little bit. I mean, I still kind of one day I'm like, I think I got a novel in me somewhere, but you know what? That might be for my empty nester stage.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm here for that. What is your favorite kid-free dinner? So if no picky eaters are allowed to bitch, moan, or complain, what are we having for dinner?
Oh, something spicy. My kids are always, that's too spicy. More spice the better. Yeah, something probably, I really love food. So it's a really hard question because if you ask me this tomorrow, I'd probably change my answer anyway. But yeah, something super spicy. That's what I'm feeling today. I don't even care what it is. Just
spicy.
Load spice on there.
Bring the heat. Like it. Yeah. What is your favorite book?
Ooh, this is another one that changes all the time. But so Brandon Sanderson has a series for teens called, actually, I don't know what this series is called, but it's Steel Heart is one of the books. And I read it with my boys. I was a big read with your kids all the time. And by the time my oldest was about 10 or 11, we were reading novels together. And so we read this whole series together. And I don't know, I was like, it's all like fantasy and, you know, sci-fi kind of stuff, but it's got like some really neat little life lessons in it. And I just love it. I think I've read it with the boys like 3 times. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. What is your guilty pleasure entertainment?
Well, right now I'm watching Bridgerton and I'm kind of feeling like that's my guilty pleasure right now.
Are you new to Bridgerton or are you just getting into it now?
Yeah. Like I'm always like, I never watch series when they start. I wait until enough people have, confirmed that it's worth my time before I check it out. So
I understand. Our time is very valuable as moms.
Exactly.
Yes. So this question I have stolen from the Low Life podcast because it's too good not to steal. If your belly button was an actual button, what would it do?
It would make me fly.
Okay.
I would totally love to be able to fly.
Would
Just
you?
press a button and start flying? Oh, yeah, 100%.
What's one thing in motherhood you'd like to say fuck it to?
Obligations. I don't feel obligated to do anything in motherhood, right? Like just do what feels good to you. If someone tells you something and they're like, no, you have to do that, fuck it. It's an obligation. I'm not doing it.
Yes. Yes. I love it. There are no shoulds. You should not do anything. You just do what feels right to you.
Exactly.
Love that so much. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome.
Are you ready to learn how to prioritize yourself? To ditch the wash, rinse, repeat stress cycle you've been stuck in for good? To connect with the amazing, badass, unique woman you are and let her flaunt her badassery with reckless abandon? Click the link in my show notes to sign up for one of my on-the-go coaching packages so you can live your one wild life to the fullest now. No need to schedule anything in that overflowing calendar of yours. This is coaching that works around your schedule no matter how chaotic it gets. Coaching for the busy mom designed by a busy mom. No more excuses. You've put yourself off long enough. It's time to be the main character of your own life again, don't you think? See you next week, gorgeous.